Okay, so Ois Tes, how far are we on Ois Tes? So he's explaining the difference between the three effects on the world, the three Hamshaches. Arich, God's will, Atik, God's Tainug, that's the Nisave, as it's manifested, the manifested Nisave, Upnimius Atik in the Etzem of the Nisave. We illustrated this with various Mishalim. So the Mayim explains the effect on the world. So Arich, willpower, imposes itself. So the Birur is Milamayda Lamata. The Tachten, the creation, its Metzias doesn't change, but it's overwhelmed. Overwhelmed. An example he gave is a convincing argument. You can't argue back, but your position isn't changed. So he's misbattled. Oh, the other side is simply stronger, and so that's it. You surrender. So even after the Birur, he still remains his mitzias. That's not the true elevation. That's not the kavanah pnimius. Then comes a higher level. It's stage one. We also gave illustrations in terms of education of children. It goes through these three stages, and it manifests in every area in life. Betzim. And any worthwhile project will have to go through these stages. So then there's a second stage, the birur, which is atik. Now that does engage the tachten, because atik is already pnimius. That's the pnimius of all of ishtalshlis, so it touches everything. So here the birur happens because of the tachten itself, and that's analogous to Shlomo HaMelech, where there was no war and they were drawn to him like a torch draws the sparks. So what is missing? What's missing is their only responsive sparks. Because atik still, as you said at the beginning of the previous ois, ches, the very word atik, which means removed, does imply that it's removed from something that has some kind of reality. Mitzad atzmos, there is no reality other than the Eibishter. So therefore, atik per se, not pnimius atik, which is the etzem, the radlo mamish. So there's still the mitzias. And so therefore, and the mitzias means, the round brackets is very powerful, the number 62, Hepech the Elyon. Mitziach means you are not, you are the opposite of truth. You're a lie, your sense of self is an absolute lie, it's Hepech the Elyon. So therefore, since that element to some degree remains, the lie remains, therefore, the revelation at the end is still additional to the mitzias. Whereas the Birur concludes a pnimius atik. Since pnimius atik, he says, is b'chlolos atzmos ein sof, and like Rabbi atzmos, there's nothing outside of the Eibishter. All is nothing other than the consequence of his will, of his desire that it be. So then, what's revealed is, on the contrary, that the mitzias, the amidus mitzias of all that exists, quoting the Rambam, is a likus. So we did that. We also did Eis Yud. Sorry, went further.
We finished Eis Yud, but it's okay. Just
we
repeat.
Did not do Eis Yud?
Yeah, we did we completed it.
I'm sorry?
We finished it.
The whole, both paragraphs?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll just run through it. So that's therefore that. So the Gili by Shlomo HaMelech. So only those nitzutzim that have some element, there's a search, there's a conscious sense of dissatisfaction. And so therefore, they're drawn. But what about those sparks that are so darkened that there's no sense that I'm missing anything? On the contrary? So that's Losid Lovely. That's the Kol All the Nitzutzis. Why? Because when the absolute truth of God is revealed, there is nothing to resist. So therefore, by Pnimius Atik, even the darkened Nitzutze Kedusha, an example again is the Chaticha Atzma, Nas and the Nevela, that the kosher meat itself becomes considered part of the Nevela. We explained in Hilchas, in the law Hilchas in Taruvas, so that even that is elevated. Another distinction, that was the first proc. The second distinction, we learned that also. The time of Shlomo HaMelech, so notwithstanding his presence in the world, didn't affect them where they were. They had to come to him They heard there's a place, there's something, you got to check this out. Because there's some element of, there's something missing in their lives. Not even sure what, but they heard there's something there. But it didn't reach them where they was la'asid lovay. That's the chidush oz epech el amim. Final words of that ois. Where as they are b'mitziusam in their identity, in their being, and in their place, two separate things. Even in their place, so all of that is la'avdei shchemecha. There they will serve God in unity with one consent. Yud Aleph. Yud Aleph. Yeah. Now that is a big nafat smayonas chutza. So this is the hemshech to Yutas Kislev, and this is the connection between Chanukah and Yutas Kislev. The whole of Chanukah is the chutz and so on. And that's afatas sabayana shachan v'kele lasim adam al k'mashich. The spreading of the wellsprings is the preparation for the coming of Sir. That's Melech Mashiach is referring to the letter that Baal Shem Tov wrote to his brother Rabbi Gershon Kittever, and he writes that he went up with Rosh Hashanah, he went and ascended to all of the chambers above, and he came to the chamber of Mashiach, and he said, "When are you coming?" They're paraphrasing the language in the Nevuah of Daniel, and Mashiach answered, "When you spread your wellsprings outside." That is the motto of Lubavitch. So Teres Hachsidis is Pnimius Atik. That's what it is. This was Tafshin Chavav, Yutas Kislev, to Farbrnegen earlier. The Rabbi then said, or started, the Inyan Teres Hachsidis, explaining by Dani, it is a watershed sicher, a landmark Giloy of Chassidus and the history of Chassidus, where the Rebbe reveals that what he's speaking about here, that Chassidus is the third level, the Etzem Pnimius Atik. It's not so that means really it's not another level, because a level means it's a level removed from a level below. The point is it's not a level. It's the Etzem, because the Etzem is Etzem of everything. And he demonstrates that extraordinary Sicher, which I keep on asking, did we learn here? We didn't. I think we did.
Yes. We learned it.
Okay, good, we did. So we won't learn it again, but everybody should learn it again from time to time. The ha'aris are very, very profound. The Biel, it's worth getting as a whole sefer, right here on the shelf, of his biurim on the sichos and the ha'aris. It's a sefer. The deity of many others, I'm sure, if they have to pick certain 10 things you have to learn ever, this would be very high up in the list, if not number one. In Yonesh Teres Chassidus. So what's Chassidus? Chassidus is a Gilui Pnimius Atik, and therefore, that's why learning Chassidus and going in the way of Chassidus is not enough just the learning, friends. It's walking the chassid, not just talking the chassid. And what does that mean in the end, according to Rabbi Rashab, which he quoted in the previous Maimer? It's a Meridic statement that Koiches Hativim Shelo Oisek Bachsidus, the one who learns Chassidus, his natural faculties, his body, the makeup of his conscious being, Nasim Koiches Elikim, they become godly because he sees them all. What's his chachma? It's a reflection of chachma Atzilus. Every part of him, the 630 components of his physical body, he sees it all as an expression of a likus. The pnimius atik, if we're touching the essence, there's nothing outside. Nirgashba, he feels, he senses, and the Rebbe is in brackets, upon him, at least in a superconscious way, in a concealed way. Because if we felt it openly, then what? How would we be? If we really felt this openly, that every part of me is only an expression of godliness, and that's why it's there, and that's what it is. And it's all like the Pnimius Atik, which means all the Nis'ava Kadosh Baruch Hu Eliyas Leidir B'Tachtonim, and I'm that Tachton. If we felt that openly, then what would happen?
Bechira.
Huh?
No Bechira. We would
Yeah, we wouldn't say in Pasha. Yeah. Not shaykh to do anything. Think, do, feel anything that's other than godliness. So that's happening when Mashiach comes. But Behelem, a sense of it, this is a huge thing. Why is this a huge thing? Because Chabad demands pnimius, no delusion, and no wishful thinking, and no fantasy. So it's a big thing to say this, that we in our yet, not about you, but me, unrefined state, Behelem akoponim, through learning Chassidus. So you don't have it Behelem, you didn't learn enough, and you're not going in its ways, but it's there, it's accessible to every one of us. It's a Meirediger thing. In a way, this flies in the face of 6 generations of Chassidus, which is Pnimius, holding by Dargas. What are you fooling yourself? In a way, this is a complete contradiction. Bechitzonius. And the answer is, it's not because this is Taka the Etzim. It's not Giluyim, Taka this is ridiculous to suggest such a thing. It's in any Darga of Giluy. But Deir Ashvi, the Rebbe, the Malchus, rooted in Pnimius HaKes and Pnimius Atik. No, it's at the Etzim now. This is where we're holding. And shaykh to everyone. As I told you many times, this was the first time I actually heard Rabbi Farbrnegen. The first Farbrnegen was Sukkos, Tav Shalom Advav, in the torrential downpour not in the Sukkah, Farbrnegen was upstairs in the small Sukkahs. Rabbi took a lot of mashka. At the end, he couldn't even, we carried him out. He couldn't walk out. And Rabbi said that the Chiddush of the Rebbe over previous is greater than the Chiddush of the Baal Shem Tov over pre-Baal Shem Tov. This is the Nekudah. This is the Hamshach of the Etzem. To draw the Shekhinah down from the Rikiya Harishon to Oretz, it's a bigger Chiddush than Shvi, Shishi, etc. Because still, it's Eilim is Ruchniim. It's Ruchniim, and it still allows for other Metzias. It's still all these Dargas, Atik, not Pnimis Atik, still allows, there's still room for me. The Hamshach of the Rebbe, the Mata is, no, that alters a likus. Remember, Rabbi then said that just Miftzim Mezuzah just came out around that time. It was unheard of. There's a problem, check your mezuzah. No one ever said that before. The boundary between the likus and gashmias is dissolving. Now it's normal. The whole world, check your tefillin, check your mezuzahs. You're born into that world. You don't know. That didn't exist before that. A bracha, doctor, check mezuzahs. Now the whole world does it. Rue de rigueur, is that the right expression? No, how do you say it?
De rigueur.
Rue de rigueur.
Not rue.
There's no rue. Yeah. Rue means a street. De rigueur. Okay. It was changed the whole. Look what's happening now. The Jewish world's reaction to what's going on. All talking about, you and everybody. Vigilance, it's more. We have to add. And everybody's responding with the likus, with oir. All the organizations. You haven't need the change this is. From the morning, the vigil, the poor us, and how terrible the world is, and that was the whole focus. Victim, have Rachmanas in us, enough. No, it's Eir. Why? Because Welt is not a Metzias. End of the day, that's what it is. Mamish happening before our eyes. Let's continue. We have to be part of it, friends. We can't be spectators. So learning and living Chassidus, he senses, at least in a super conscious way, Shamitas, what's his Metzias? I'm sorry, Amitas Imotza, the true being, he Metzias Shaloi, that Eibishter is his Metzias. Inyan, you have food, so now you just spoke about you learning Chassidus and we going in the way of Chassidus. Now spreading the wellsprings outside Ishagam, but this is the whole kavanah. This even the outside year, but the hafotza, what's going to be spread there In a way, not only the living waters, which is the highest, one of the second highest form of mikveh. It come from the wellspring. What would that be? What would the mayim? So ordinary water, ordinary mikveh, that's like arich. That's the tzaddik. Mayim chayim, that's Yosha, that's Shleima Melech. The mayim, that's chosid, that's Mashiach, that's now. Al derech pinimis atik. Al derech achil chitzonis atik shoy b'mishleim like chitzonis atik, that was the mayim chayim. It's flowing from the wellspring. You're not traveling in the wellspring, in the mayim, but it comes from it. As opposed to mikveh, collected body of still water, with all of its regulations. Shikar Gilohi Yerushalayim. So where's the Ikar Gil? Where was the Mayin? The Mayin was Yerushalayim. A revelation of it, a glimmer of it, a reflection of it, illuminated the further places. That's Mayim Chayim. But no, this is the Mayonis. Al Mayonis Atzam, and friend, the Mayan is the Rebbe himself. That's the Mayan. That's what we have to be mefitz. As I was saying, Shabbos. I don't see it so explicitly in Chassidus, but it is really, if you put it all together. What is the Menorah? Menorah is the Shamas Yisrael. Shiva kind of Menorah. Ara lights him. He's lifting up the Shamas Yisrael. What are we illuminating the world with? With Al Neshama, Al Yechida. And what's the stem of the Menorah? That's the Nasi. It's all beaten out of one ingot, a Nasi Al Koil, and all the Neshamas extend from there. So the lights of the Menorah are being mefitz, the Pnimius HaNeshama of each Yid, which is all one, and that's the Nasi. Pasha, the Tachlis is to be mefitz, the Rebbe and the Rebbe's Torah in the whole world. Which means to reveal the pnimius and the neshama of every yid. What's the raya? Pnimius and neshama is revealed. If he has a conscious connection to the Rebbe, then you're in touch with your pnimius and neshama. There's not something else. I'm saying this bekitzer. But I'm saying that the kavanah pnimius is the ultimate pnimius atik is being mefitz the Rebbe, which means mefitz Pnimius ve'etzem haneshama, stir that and reveal that in every Jew. And that's what the Rebbe is. The Raya Mehemne, Vata Tetzaveh. That's the whole Maim. To megale the etzem haneshama in every Jew. That's the Menorah, that's Chanukah. That burns brightly. And all of its manifestations, Chesed, Gvura, all 7 different personality types, each one in his world. But what's being illuminated? The etzem haneshama. Pnimius Atainuk, Pnimius Atik. So now the third again, not a darge, but the third stage is the Mayonis themselves. Right? They said is Gala Metzis the Chutza Asmei. So this reveals the truth of the outside. What is it? There is no outside. Sha'amidis Mitziusay. It's true. The identity, the being, the reality. A better word. It's true. It's true. Mitzius means it's true. Yeah, beingness. Hey, Mayonis is the Mayonis. Is Pnimius Atik. Kapizeh. Continuing, yeah. Yes, the Vai Piskim Admod Marashab Nish Moseiden. Well, this will explain the word of the Rebbe Rashab. Being that he said, famous Yitzhak Kislev, Tafresh Samach Gim was a famous Yitzhak Kislev. Binyan Gili, the Teres Achsidus, when he said about the revelation of Chassidus to Mishchal Admir Azokir. That was revealed by the Alter Rebbe after the arrest and liberation. What did he say? He gave a whole akdam. It's difficult to say, but he said it. This is similar to the Maimon Chazal. The Yidden are compared to an olive. So the Gemara, the Medrash says, a zayis like this olive. When you pressure it, it produces its oil. So too, the whole Yitzhak Kislev produced the whole arrest and liberation produced the Gili Achsidus that came post Peterburg. The Rebbe explained my time. What's the reason why the revelation of Chassidus post Yutes Kislev is compared to oil? That's what the Rebbe Shab is saying, that the squeezing produced the oil. Because what's oil? Tishem. What is oil? This explains at length in Kuntas Yinosh Teres Chassidus. Moishe moved the Mikol Dov, even though it separates from everything. Shalchein Einim Mis'ar B'Shemashkin. Allah is, it doesn't mix with any liquids, it will separate. 72. Masechta Tvul Yom, Perek Beis, Mishnah Hey, Rambam, and even Adas Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, who holds, the discussion there is, if there's oil on wine and you touch the oil, someone's tummy, does the wine become tummy? The first Tana says not, because it separates. Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri says it does, so it's a shaila on our unqualified definition of oil doesn't mix. He answers. That if you touch the top one, the oil that's floating on the wine also is tummy. He's not saying they get mixed. They gave a dollar, but you touch the oil, and the oil is touching the wine, so the wine is tummy. But he's not saying it mixes either. It's a medical thing in a mind that throws in a niglev from Mishnah and Tvul Yom and answers the problem. Okay. So on the one hand, oil is the symbol of essence. Essence, and using the example of the atom, you recall we learned in Chassidus, the atom. The atom on its own is removed from any tzir. If I tell you there's an atom in my hand, or atom out there, solid, gas, liquid, you cannot know because it is removed. It's not limited to solid gases or liquid. It could be anything. So the atom is be'etzim removed. Bilti mizgale. It's in this? No. On the other hand, what is everything? It's nothing other than atoms. It's mefafeya b'chol davar. It permeates everything, but not defined by anything. It is everything and defined by nothing. That's the atom. That's the etzem. I suggested we learned, and this is my own thing, I don't know if it's true, because the oil here, pashtus, olive oil, whatever, but it's also interesting that organic matter, all living things, the last level that it decomposes, after which it cannot go further, is petroleum, is oil. So it shows that the essence of all living things, begashmi, all organic matter becomes oil. L'chayre. Open to rebuttal, but my suggestion. Because it doesn't say Shem and Zayas, it's Shem. The examples in Nigle, mind you, not only olive oil, it's also fat. No, it's olive oil usually. Yeah. Akoponim, so that's why this is compared to what the oil. On the one hand, it permeates, you put oil on it. Comes to liquids, it separates, but you put oil on a solid, it'll work its way through it. It's an halacha. And that's not talking about oil, it's fat. Fatty substance, an oily substance, it is oil, but olive oil, an oily substance, it will work its way through. Kvetch is not like Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, the wine and the oil in the wine, where they're touching. He's mefafeya b'chol dover. The oil permeates, penetrates. Not just affects by touching. It penetrates. It will enter and work its way through every part of the solid that the oil is placed. And that's what Rabbi Rashab used the marshal of oil, the shemen. Now there is been a gel yet this kiss of that this kiss of the oz hischil ikira in the foot chutza. Why does the main hafatas amayonas begin post Yutis Kislev? Because that's when the shemen came out with Pnei Ozdim Shachagili Pnimius Atik. That's when Pnimius Atik was revealed. The Pnimius Atik, on the one hand, Pnimius Atik is Muvdum Cholishtal Shalus. Pnimius Atik is the Etzem. It's totally beyond all levels. Much more so is it beyond the outside, that's Biyah, Elam Hazeh. Much more removed, much more than Chitzonius Atik. So that brings out Pneumius Atik, because Chitzonius Atik is removed a level, or many levels. But Pneumius Atik is removed essentially, not by distance, by level, by comparison. So that brings out what? That brings out the property of oil. It does not mix. Period. It's not mixable. And nonetheless, because it doesn't mix, so so when it is revealed, because the essence, after it is kistev, that's when the spreading it outside, there can be no barriers anymore, because we're not revealing a beyond level, we're revealing the essential level, the essential truth. We bring the mayin mamish, not just the mayim chayim, but the mayin to transform the outside. And that's the second property of oil, dugma shemen, the shemen itself permeates all things. Now, Chanukah, we should continue, we'll stop. 2 more lines.
Continue.
To 825. It's Chanukah today. So likewise, I give the Chanukah Prat, I give the Chanukah Tikkun B'nei Nesa Shoy B'Shemen. So not just the story of Chanukah B'Chalal, but especially the Inyan of the Neiros of the Tacham were massacred to life because of the ness of the oil. So too, we're saying that what is Chanukah? Shu Gilui Pnimius Atik. It's the Gilui Pnimius Atik, the Zershim Mevu B'Adrushim. This is explained in the Maamar of the Rabbi, who we said at the beginning of this Maimer. Shamayla, there is Chanukah the Mailam, and it's Chanukah Lagab, and it's over the Neiros of the Mikdash Hu. Shagila, there is Chanukah Lamalim Nishtalshus, that Chanukah is high completely the Nishtalshus. But that's not just true of Chanukah, it's true of Shebachlolis HaKeser. Keser Bachlolis higher, Gam Arich, and Mekoshke Chitzonius Adik, and Mosel Chitzonius Adik, who Lamalim Nishtalshus. So what's the point? What's the chiddush here? Yesh Leimer, the explanation is King and the Lamal Mishtalshus Shebucho. Who Shebucho? What does it mean? Lamal Mishtalshus Shehu Bechol Moker. Chiddush here. Usually we say Lamal Mishtalshus. What? Look at me. We mean that way. That's one level. That's Arich. That's Chitzonius Atik. It's higher. Here, no. Here. Here, Lamaila means beyond the Inyan of Ishtalshalus, and therefore present in all of Ishtalshalus. Who shebechol mokem, he's everywhere. Lamaila, Lamata, higher, Lo B'Shov, it's the essence. V'yinzel be'ikah pnimis atik, whereas the essence manifests primarily in pnimis atik. Why does he just say be'ikah, not just pnimis atik? Not even in brackets. After this whole explanation, it's only Pnimius Atik. Only Pnimius Atik expresses the Etzem. It would be Iker. It was Shailil Chitzonius Atik and Shailil Arich, all Dargis, and explained it so convincingly. Because the Etzem property peaks through constantly in Ishtalshalus, in Malchus, and it's constantly peaking, it's constantly undercurrent. But where is it? Be'ikah revealed Pnimius Atik. Shagili the Chitzonius Atik be'ikah l'mayla. So where is the Gili of Chitzonius Atik? That's the Mayla. Alishanim shechopeil gam lama. Shleima Melech affected the Mata. Kanal Sivdalit. Sifyud. Agili sheyadei Shleima. Like we said before, Shleima Melech's revelation. Agili the Chitzonius Atik. Shikar Agili hoi Yerushalayim. Where was it? Yerushalayim was lit up. But even in Shva, Malchus Shva heard about it and was drawn to it, this great light. I got to check this out. Where is the true beyond Hishtalshus, beyond limit, beyond seer, therefore present in every place equally? Again, the atom is the Moshel, the Gashmi, that's Bepnimius Atik. He's present, Lamata, like Lamaila, no less. If you say to Mizum, moreover, there's no difference in high and low. It's not there is no high, there is no low. There's only Etzer. It's only Eibishter. expressing himself this way, expressing himself that way. One is not more or less godliness than the other. So one isn't closer, one isn't further. There's no mind, there's no matter. It's all him. So Pnimis Atik, and it's felt in everything. The same truth, the one and only truth. That his very being is divine, godliness. A wonderful day. So the Tovus, Zeis Chanukah. We should point with the finger and say, Hine Zeh Mashiach Ba. Here's Mashiach, and that's it.
Amen.
Here's the